This episode is sponsored by The Media Insider, helping you tell your story in a way that sticks. Here's a quick thought. Your best marketing strategy is your story. It's not about what everyone else is saying. It's about what makes you, you. Discover how to turn your story into a brand that connects at themediainsider.co. On the southern end of Whidbey Island, tucked inside 106 acres of moss-lined trails and cathedral-quiet forest, sits a place that's been quietly shaping hearts and ideas for 50 years. It's called the Whidbey Institute, and it's where leaders, artists, scientists, and seekers gather to ask the questions that don't always have tidy answers. Questions about belonging, purpose, resilience, and what it means to care for both people and the planet. At the heart of this work is Rose Woods, the Institute's co-executive director and self-proclaimed welcomer. Rose's story winds from California theater stages to Whidbey's forested classrooms, a journey that began when she came to care for her mother and stayed to nurture something much larger, a living experiment in community, leadership, and land-based learning. Rose is also a board member of South Whidbey Pride. She's a writer, a teacher, an activist, and a theater director. She is the founder and former artistic director of Island Shakespeare Festival, the former artistic director for Whidbey's Children's Theater, and she has served as artistic director for 3 theater companies in the San Francisco Bay Area, and has worked across the country with both professional and youth theater companies. She is a professional screenwriter and playwright, awarded a commendation from Barbara Boxer for her work in teaching tolerance with youth theater, and is the recipient of a number of awards for both her writing and directing, including the Elizabeth George Foundation Grant, Humanitarian Teacher Award from the Humane Society, and a variety of national and international awards for her writing. She strongly believes art and social justice are necessary. In this episode, we talk about what drew Rose to Whidbey Island, how the Institute grew from a bold 1970s vision into a national model for generative leadership, and why transformation often begins with something as simple and sacred as an open door and a warm hello. I know you'll enjoy meeting Rose. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me to come to the Whidbey Institute, showing me around, and inviting me into the cutest office I've ever seen.
I feel lucky to be here.
Yes, it's beautiful. All right, as we get started, one of the first things I always ask is to share about your own path, right? Where you grew up and what led you to the life of storytelling, theater, and community work.
Well, I grew up in the Bay Area, basically. So San Francisco Bay Area. So that includes Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Berkeley, all of that, Marin County, Sonoma County. And so for me, that was such a great area to grow up in because the arts were really vivid there. I went to school out there. I taught school out there, and I kind of came into my own in that part of the world. And it's still my home. I mean, I live here and this is my home, but there's something about those redwood trees and the ocean that will always call me in some way. Yeah,
it is beautiful for sure. I read that you originally came to Whidbey Island to care for your mother, right?
Yeah.
And thought it would be temporary. What made you stay?
Well, originally I was told my mom had a very short time to live. She was diagnosed with cancer. And so I packed everything I owned. I was about to direct some plays. I shut everything down. I put 2 cats in a U-Haul and I drove to Washington and decided to be with her during that time. As it turned out, she stayed here for another 11 years. So I ended up being out here for about 12 years with my mom until it was time for her to transition into the next universe. And in that interim, I made all these discoveries, fell in love with Whidbey Island and all the other things.
So if you don't mind me asking, what was she doing on Whidbey Island?
She wasn't on Whidbey Island. She was in Linwood. So she was just over the ferry, basically. And originally I looked at living actually in Port Townsend. And then someone said, you need to check out Whidbey Island. And I fell in love. And so that's how I ended up here.
So you helped launch an outdoor Shakespeare Festival that was quite literally rooted in land that later became part of the Institute's campus, correct? What do you remember most vividly about those early productions?
I think the scrappiness of it, the idea that artists came together to create something for the community.
Okay.
And so the art was beautiful. I had local actors and faraway actors, but there was something about, so on the other, we're on the west side of the land. This was on the east side of the land.
Okay.
And it was an incredibly beautiful amphitheater. It's still there.
Yeah.
And it was 3 years that we were here, and then they moved. But it was just magical. I think it was magical. There was something about being in this little amphitheater surrounded by trees that was really, really special.
Yeah, that does sound special.
It was amazing.
So pretty out here. You know, I didn't, driving up here, I didn't know that this was also where the Waldorf School was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I knew there was one down here and know people whose children go there, but I had no idea it was right here, pretty much on the same campus, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so let's talk about theater and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of sound like they'd be worlds apart, right? But they both involve transformation, right? And how has your background in theater influenced how you lead and hold space for others today?
I think, honestly, it's a combination of training in theater. It gives you a training in humanity, psychology, understanding the human condition. So I think all of those things, and also as a director, you're directing, and I've run theater companies before. And there's an element of understanding budget and strategic planning and all the things that you need to know to run a business, whether it's a nonprofit retreat center or a theater company. Wow. And so some of it really overlapped. I would say predominantly the thing that holds me here on my stressful days is the fact that I've been a teacher. Okay. So when you've worked with teenagers, I've decided that all humans are basically teenagers no matter how old they are. Then I think that you kind of have a sense of dealing.
So funny you said that. My 33-year-old son just said that this year.
Well, and I think it's just, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that there's always an idea or a hope or something for the future that's really beautiful. And so a weird combination of education and imagination and then theater, I think has helped me a lot.
So for listeners who may not know, what is the Whidbey Institute?
Whidbey was created 53 years ago, and it didn't start as the Whidbey Institute. It started, and I can actually give you a book about the founder somewhere in here. I'll give you a book to walk out with called Wild Ideas. And the founders, Fritz and Vivian Hull, bought a small farmhouse here, and then with the people that came that were here in the 70s that wanted to change the world, it just grew. So they kept growing and growing until it became 106 acres, and it's gone through a lot of different leadership models and different people running it and different boards and all of the things, but we've sort of landed where we are today.
So what happens on this 106 acres?
Well, we are open to the public. So plenty of people come through here to hike or walk the labyrinth or sit quietly in the forest. And unless we close the campus for more tender groups that come in, sometimes they're doing really private work. But most of the time, it's retreat groups that come in that are doing, and we just hold this beautiful container for them so they can do the amazing work that they take out into the world. And I like to say that we help people. It's not so much transformational here, although, yes, I think there's an element of that. But I think that there's this incredible opportunity for people to come here, gather themselves together, and then go out and change the world or make the world a better place. And we have groups that are BIPOC groups. We have groups that are environmental groups. We just had an incredible group called Thriving Communities, and they are helping communities have more food. There's so many different kinds of groups that come here that people say, is it just meditation? No, it's a lot of different things. And the group that's here, I showed you the hall, is a movement group. So they're all doing embodied movement. And our next group is about racial healing. So we go through a lot of different types of programming. And I'm proud to be here, frankly.
You mentioned that that's over 50 years old, correct?
All
right. So how has its purpose evolved? Was that what you just described now? Is that how it was in the beginning, or it's just evolved over time?
I think in the beginning, I believe that the people that were in Circle in the beginning were creating a type of mindfulness practice in a sense of with people that came here to do good works in the world. And that included spiritual work with the forest, or sometimes with churches, sometimes with each other. And I think the camaraderie and the love that both Fritz and Vivian brought in was extraordinary. And the power of that vision, frankly, is it held the place together through all kinds of changes. And they still are vibrant people that are creating beautiful things in the world. And so over time it's changed. I mean, but I didn't always live here during all of its changes, but my understanding is that it's changed its own models different. But I think it always tends to come back to what its original meaning and goals are.
So in my research, I came across the generative leadership and also ecosystem vitality. What does that mean in practice?
I think that's a question that I ask myself every single day. I would say that generative leadership, which I now am calling, there's different versions for that. There's shared leadership models. I'm currently calling it circle leadership. And part of that is everybody that works here is a leader. And so I think that I don't pretend to know everything that Larry, who's our forest steward, knows, or things like that. So I think it's similar to casting a play well. You cast really well and then you get out of their way. In an organization like this, you let people flourish and become their own leaders. So even our staff meetings are in circles so that we all have a voice. Yeah. And we try to talk through tensions, and we talk through things like people talk through. But so to me, it's more about generating leadership in everyone that's here. If they choose that pathway, not everyone does, I think. Some people prefer not to, but I think most of everyone that's here now definitely has an opinion. Okay. And that's part of the joy of working here, is I get to work I have the best team in the world.
And you learn so much from other people's perceptions.
Every day.
Every single day. So you have called the Institute's campus a living classroom. How does the land itself teach or shape what happens here?
I think if we are open to what nature has to offer, then there's probably no greater teacher in the world, I think. And I hear that when people come through or walk the trails or hug a tree or sometimes just sit in silence, that there's elements of communication that happen. So, sometimes it's about nature or the benefits of watching how things grow through the seasons, but sometimes it's about ourselves, where we're in a time where we have to think things through, and the land itself can be a really good teacher when you're walking a trail or on the labyrinth, to be able to just focus on what you need to think about without your phone in front of you or another Zoom, meeting or things like that. And so stepping away and into nature, to me, is the most healing thing in the world.
And to your point, talking about Zoom meetings, one of the reasons on this podcast that I insist on meeting with people in person, because everybody does their podcast via Zoom these days or studio. I just really wanted to meet people in person, because I think you get to know them better that way instead of just across technology. So totally agree with you.
Yeah.
You mentioned circle leadership. Is that the same thing as distributed leadership model? It's in a circle.
I think essentially yes, and I think every group that comes through here, and at some point I won't be here, someone else will be here. I think different groups create the type of leadership that is right for that time, and 2 or 3 EDs ago they had a different kind of leadership, and it's currently working in. By generative, I would say that everyone is generating the best for this organization. And then we all work together to try to achieve that.
So is that different, or has that reshaped the organization to what it is today? Or is it just something
Not growth? Since I've been here so much, but it's also growth. I mean, I would say that there's a natural growth that happens because of personalities. I mean, everybody comes at things differently. There are some leaders that have been here that have business backgrounds who were just brilliant geniuses, but they might have approached things differently than someone with a humanities background, and so, and there is no wrong way. I just think it's different ways of looking at it.
You started here as a program host. Explain to the listener what that is and how that experience speaks to your executive director position.
I loved being a host here. That's when I decided I was the welcomer. I think that I wasn't really looking for a job. I feel like that this place called me in, for lack of a better way of putting it. And to be the host here meant literally holding space for every single group that arrives, which means everything from welcoming people when they first come in, telling them where to park, where's their room, here's help with your luggage if they need it, and just being really answering the questions, being around as needed, or stepping back if they don't need anything. But that was the way that I got to know so many groups my first year here. And it was a gift to be able to do that.
Well, it's also, I would think that it's like serving. You're serving the people who are coming here.
And I looked at it that way. It was really important for me. When I was first approached about leadership here, I actually said no, if I'm being honest. But here I am. And I think that I was interested in the model of shared leadership. I was interested in the model of working with people that I'd grown really fond of in a different way than a triangular where there's an apex and somebody at the top. I didn't like that form of leadership. And so I wanted to experience that. And I had led other types of organizations. This is very different because it's a different kind of sort of informative type of organization, but so is theater, honestly. So is education. And we do a type of education here for everyone that comes here, whether it's the groups teaching or our own programs or Larry leading a forest walk. I think that there's lots of opportunities to teach people.
Let's break for a short word on supporting our community. Here on Whidbey Island, we're known for looking out for one another, and right now, some of our neighbors need us more than ever. Food insecurity is a growing reality for many in our community, including local families, our seniors, and even military households who call this island home. 3 incredible nonprofits are making a difference every single day. Good Cheer Food Bank and Thrift Stores in South Whidbey, North Whidbey Help House in Oak Harbor, and Whidbey Island Nourishes, who make sure kids and teens never go hungry. These organizations rely on community donations to keep their shelves stocked and their doors open. You can help by giving what you can or donating the specific food and supplies they need most. Visit goodcheer.org, northwhidbeyhelphouse.org, or whidbeyislandnourishes.org to donate today. Together, we can make sure everyone on Whidbey has a seat at the table. So being the welcomer, the host, speaks to servant leadership. So do you use that in all of your leadership here? Does it speak to that with everybody?
I think so. I don't really know for sure. I think so. That would be a poll to ask the team, but I was
going to say, have you seen changes in the team from you being a servant leader more so than a top-down approach?
I think that they had already been so used to being in shared leadership before my time. Not the whole team, but there's been new people that have come on board since I've been here that I've hired. But that it was more of a stepping over to a different form of shared leadership than in some other ways. But I don't think of myself as the boss.
Right. That's always good. Someone has to be at the helm, right? So the Institute emphasizes equity, inclusion, and community resilience. What does that look like on the ground day to day?
It's a learning curve that never, ever hits the ground. I think that part of it is really working with our community, really listening, taking courses and understanding all the aspects of equity, from age to race to all of it. And I take it really seriously, and also not seriously, with great joy. I mean, and I think that part of having been the welcomer is easier for me to feel more open to all the things. And I also lived in the Bay Area, which is a really diverse place to live and grow up. And so coming out here and having an organization that believes in diversity and equity and inclusion, for me was just like, oh, this makes absolute sense to me.
Right.
And I learned so much from everyone that comes here. And we have some groups that are all BIPOC groups that come, and we have some groups that are all young children that come. So I think finding a range of humanity if we don't have community, and then where does humanity go, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel really strongly that holding the container for humanity is this job.
You were speaking about the constant learning. I recently watched a TV program where this little girl, it's time for her to start school. And she says, Mom, how long do I have to go to school? And she said, what do you mean, learning or just going to a building? And she says, well, how long do I have to learn? And the mom said, until the good Lord takes you home.
I love
and she
that.
said, that's way too long, Mom.
It's absolutely the truth.
It is the truth, isn't it?
Yeah. And I would say that teachers are students of learning. And so holding the space for this organization is being a student of learning every single day.
Do you get to experience, though, with all the different things that go on here, transformation? Like, can you tell when someone's truly changed? And how would you know that?
I don't think I would know.
You wouldn't know that.
Well, partly because it's private. And
Yeah,
I think
totally.
that what happens in the group stays in the groups to some extent, unless we're invited in or it's an open group that we're promoting, that we're doing. And
let me tell you why I asked that.
Okay.
So you don't think I'm a weirdo. Like, how would I know that? Because of my background in technology and measurement and helping businesses grow. It's measurement. So you were saying before, it obviously doesn't bother you that you wouldn't know. You're just hoping that that's what it is, right?
To some extent, I think that's the truth.
Okay.
We do screen folks that come through. So we do have people. I mean, we're already full through much of 2026.
Wow.
And so at least I know that Letty, who's our absolutely brilliant program director, fills the calendar like nobody's business. And that's essentially our earned income. And the groups, we read about the groups. We do our homework and we make sure that it's something that would be in keeping with our values and our mission. Wow. And then when they come here, they're doing incredible, beautiful work. Sometimes we're invited in the door, sometimes not, but we meet the people. So you have a sense of the people when they come through. Occasionally you meet someone crying under a tree, or occasionally you meet someone who's laughing. And so I think it's part of just having an open heart.
Right. So Whidbey Island, it has its own rhythm. Right? How does this community, Whidbey Island itself, influence the work of the Institute? And how does the Institute in turn give back to the island?
That's a great question. I'd say that Whidbey Institute gives to the Institute in just its where it is. I mean, in many places, it's its location. Yeah. It's the beauty of this acreage out here in the Maxwelton Valley. It's the incredible community and neighbors that we have. And I feel like that we get more from that every single day. Yeah. And then I'd like to think that we give back in a similar way. So whether that's individuals who work here giving back out in the community, or we have some of the most brilliant board members I've ever met in my life. I feel really honored to be in the room with them. They're doing incredible work out in the world. So I think it's this place attracts people that want to do really beautiful things out in the world and change it for the better for everyone.
So you've spoken about finding meaning in the smallest acts of service that we just talked about. Setting a table, lighting a fire, helping people with their luggage. How do you sustain that sense of purpose, administrative and leadership duties? You know, the duties.
The duties. I think that purpose, if I were to think of myself back as being a child, I think I've always been attracted to things where I have purpose.
Okay.
That included starting an outdoor Shakespeare Festival, which grew into its own thing, and they're doing such gorgeous work now. Yeah. And I think that everything that I'm drawn to do has to have some element of purpose to it for me, and that includes literal purpose, whether that's putting food on a table. I'm not the chef, let me just say. We have the most extraordinary chef here. But, helping people just be here, being the helper is probably a better way than being the welcomer of explaining a little bit of what I do. And I would say that in fact, I would say all of everyone that works here has an element of that in their personality. Okay. There's a welcoming attitude, whether it's someone with a chainsaw, or someone who's working on our trails, or someone who's in our offices who are our beautiful, brilliant, invisible people that are making everything happen in our operations programming, in our fundraising. So it takes a village. Yeah. This takes a lot of people to make this kind of magic. But I think as long as we're all still on the same page,
right,
then it seems to be working.
So you were saying, for those listeners who haven't been here before, that the property is open to the public, the trails. Do you have a favorite place yourself that you like to either walk or hang out?
Yes. Yes, of course. Well, that is I told you when we walked in that right there is my favorite tree. But there is, just past our labyrinth, there is a trail, the Farm Loop Trail, that's my favorite trail. And when I'm having a hard day, or the general political world is getting me down, or things that are happening, or personal things, I tend to take that walk. Yeah. And sometimes just sit down next to a little creek that's out there and stare at moss and just fantasize about becoming one with the moss. But really, I think having a place to heal is where you work is a gift that you don't normally get.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So when I was driving up here, there was a bunch of cars down before I went to the last quarter of a mile. Are those trails that people are parked to go down?
Probably some, but probably most of them are for this current group that's here.
Oh, okay.
And so we don't have, as you saw, not a ton of parking. Right. There's a big parking area out by the Waldorf School, and when we have large groups, everything's filled with cars. Right. But sometimes when there's no group here, there's cars out there because people are on the trails, and there's a trailhead there, and then there's kiosks everywhere to let you know what trail you're on.
So now that you guys are 50, what is your vision for the next 10 years?
Oh my gosh. People ask me that question all the time. I think my personal vision is to bring in more and more community, to have more and more programming that we create ourselves, which takes it back to its origins to some extent, to have more arts on the land. We're in partnership with Wicca and for the Children's Summer Camp program, which is a theater camp. So we perform on my original stage back from Shakespeare. The kids do plays out there, which is amazing. And Meander Dance comes in. So I feel really lucky that I'm able to have a space for people to do what they want to do, or show films, or bring in different people who have gifts to talk about or share. So for me, it's just more of bringing in the community and holding fast to what we already do with the incredible groups that are coming in from all over the country to do their work here.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about is, what do you hope people take away, whether they're walking the trails or coming to a workshop? The takeaway.
A sense of peace and purpose.
Okay.
And possibly letting go of things that aren't serving them.
That's a good one.
Possibly inspiration. I like thinking that people come here, experience things, and feel stronger, have more courage to go back out in the world and do the work they're doing. I like thinking that people find peace here and hope.
Okay, so before we hit the rapid fire questions that I like to do, is someone listening today has never heard of the Whidbey Institute, but feels a spark of curiosity? What's the best way for them to experience it for the first time?
I think there's two ways. I think one is to be in a group that comes here and sign up for leadership training or some other type of group that's here, because this group, most of these people that are here now, they've never been here before. So they're experiencing, in addition to the work that they're doing in the hall, they're experiencing this land for the first time.
And there are open events people can register for, right?
Absolutely. On our website. Absolutely. Right. And then if you are not in a group, I would just say, just come. Just come and walk the trails and feel what it feels like to be here.
Okay. All right. So one of my favorite parts is rapid fire questions. And one of the reasons is because it never goes rapidly.
Okay, I'm nervous, but all right. Okay.
Typically. And it's okay. Coffee or tea when you start your morning?
Tea.
Tea. What kind of tea?
Black tea.
Black tea. Yeah. Okay. The first thing you notice when you walk into the forest?
Moss.
Oh, yeah. That's probably true. Moss. I was thinking maybe when I wrote that, I think maybe it's something different every time.
Generally, I see moss first because I love moss. But and then, of course, then there's whatever's in front of me. What's growing, what's fresh right now, what's blooming. Yeah.
So what's a word you use to describe Whidbey Island? And if it's just not one word, it's okay. You can have more than one word.
I think Whidbey is eclectic.
Yeah.
There's so many words. I mean, you're just asking a writer to say one word, but I would say eclectic, vibrant, heartful.
Right.
Yeah.
Heartful. All right. What book has shaped you most as a leader?
I'm currently reading The Circle Way, which is right there by Christina Baldwin. And so that is probably today. And because every time I read a new book, I get I think that there are different books on leadership that I've read that really resonate with me. But currently this is the one that I'm going, yes, that's it. So different things.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So are you a morning person or a night owl?
Yes.
To both.
Yes. And
you go to bed late and you get up early?
Yeah. Theater training, you just get used to having, sometimes my greatest moments come at night.
Yeah. So what's one thing people might be surprised to learn about you?
That I'm shy.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. Yeah. So you're probably an introvert that can function in an extrovert capacity.
Yeah. But it's probably why I wanted to be a writer or a director and not an actor.
Yeah.
And I love being the invisible foundation to something.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
behind the scenes.
Yeah. That delights me.
I'm not an introvert, but I'm like that too. I love being behind the scenes. I love helping someone else become successful. I just do. I get a lot from it.
I just like loving having I love being inspirational, but I don't need it to be I don't need to be the only person. In fact, I don't talk about me as much as I talk about we. I mean, I feel like I'm more important than anyone else that works here.
All right. So if you could invite anyone living or gone to walk the trails with you, who would it be?
Besides Shakespeare, I think Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl. So tell the listener who that is.
This was a writer who was alive during World War II and had some absolutely just stunning philosophical ways of viewing the world.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to have to Google him. So what's one small daily ritual that keeps you grounded?
Tea. I mean, if I'm feeling stressed, it's not always black tea, but I mean, if I take the slow purpose of making a cup of tea and sitting down for a moment, that grounds me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because there's so many different kinds of teas. I mean, it can be for health, it can be for skincare, it can be for relaxing.
All of the above.
All the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me to breathe.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good answer. In one sentence, what does welcome mean to you?
I think that to be welcoming is to open your arms and your heart.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Rose. This was so fun. I mean,
it was
really
so wonderful to meet you.
She has loads of windows, and every window you look out is beautiful. And the type of tree that is your favorite, a little bit about it. Right now it's beautiful, kind of a yellowy and...
It's a giant deciduous tree. Larry's going to get on me later when I say I don't remember the name of it, but because Larry knows every single tree.
I thought it was some kind of maple.
I think it might be, and I'm having a brief total brain moment of I don't remember.
That's okay. It's gorgeous, and everything out here is. So listener, if you've never been here, you should. I'm definitely going to tell my husband he likes to try all the different trails on Whidbey Island with our dog. So definitely, I haven't been out here to walk the trails before. So I certainly will be doing that. And listener, you should too if you have not. Thank you, Rose. That was Rose Woods, co-executive director of the Whidbey Institute, a place that reminds us that growth doesn't always happen in classrooms or boardrooms. Sometimes it happens under the cedar canopy, in a circle of chairs, or in the quiet moment between arrival and belonging. If you'd like to learn more about the Whidbey Institute, their programs, retreats, or just to walk their 4 miles of forest trails, visit whidbeyinstitute.org. It's one of those rare places that invites you to breathe a little deeper and a little closer. Thanks for joining me on Local Whidbey with Magsy, where we celebrate the audacious Islanders shaping this community in ways big and small. If you love this episode, share it with a friend, subscribe wherever you listen, and help keep those local stories growing. I'm Magsy, and I'll see you next time, somewhere between the tide and the trees.